I think information's power. And so you're going to have stronger conversion rates. The person on the sales floor, if you will, has more access to more information, either about the client or about the website or anything like that, So the more information that the salesperson has, that's one thing. So you're going to close more. You're going to have more opportunity costs because I'm freeing up the people in your company that are sort of making the donuts every day to do things bigger, stronger, and faster. And then you also have the idea that the more information that you get from the AI, the more it's like, once it solves one problem, it changes. I don't know if you can use a matrix reference. It's sort of, Kung Fu. What I mean by that is that once you can do more, you start to think differently. And then you start to think, well, if that solves that problem, what other problems can it solve? What are the redundancies that I do every day that can be turned into, into action? That those things that kind of sit on the sideline because I never get time to do it. Those are the opportunity costs.
Welcome to AI and Marketing Unpacked, where we simplify AI for impactful marketing. I'm your host, Mike Alden, here to guide you through the world of artificial intelligence and its transformative impact on marketing strategies. Each episode will break down AI concepts into manageable insights and explore practical applications that can supercharge your marketing efforts. Whether you're an experienced marketer or just starting to explore the potential of AI, this podcast will equip you with the knowledge and tools you need to succeed. So tune in and let's unlock the power of AI together. Greetings, program. Welcome back to AI and Marketing Unpacked, where I selfishly use this time to pick the brains of experts at keeping up with and integrating or layering artificial intelligence into social media, content, advertising, search, and other areas of digital marketing. Oh, and you get to learn too. Subscribe to be shown how to prepare yourself and your brand for this AI revolution and come out ahead. Now listen, we don't know what we don't know. Many marketers recognize the potential of AI, but struggle with understanding how to effectively incorporate it into their strategy. The challenge often lies in not knowing what AI is truly capable of and how it can be applied in practical, impactful ways. This knowledge gap can make it daunting to start leveraging AI tools effectively. That's why learning about real-world examples and use cases is crucial and something we talk to every guest about on this show. Today, we're diving into the tangible applications of AI in digital marketing with Chris Carr, an expert who teaches AI to businesses and associations nationwide. Through his work at Farotech, Chris has uncovered numerous practical AI use cases that have transformed marketing strategies. He's going to share his insight, offering a clear roadmap for marketers who are eager to harness AI's potential in their digital marketing efforts. Hey, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
So glad you're here. Can you start by just sharing your journey and what led you to kind of dive into AI?
Sure. Well, this isn't a fake background behind me. This is Farotech. This is the agency I built around 24 years ago. And we're about a 50-person team located just outside the city of Philadelphia. I'm going to wisp you away to a magical year of 2020. There wasn't a single problem in the world. And
At all.
not a problem. Yeah. No, honestly, I remember the timing of this. I literally got my PPP money to kind of keep the company alive from the government. And I thought, oh gosh, the worst is behind me. And so I had a podcast and I brought a gentleman named Paul Rotzer on. I thought I was going to be talking about marketing. And he had told me, hey, you know what? I sold the marketing agency and now I do AI. Now, in my mind, in 2020, AI was kind of like the Terminator. But within 1 hour, I looked at my business partner and I said, everything's going to change and it's going to change quickly. And I really don't want to have everything I just built sort of taken away by this thing. So I refuse to get rolled over by it. Fortunately, I have I'm one of three business partners at the company. And so they've sort of been taking over the company. And I started a new division, now company called Dynamics AI. We are a consulting and training agency or group. And we help companies look at the chess and checkers of AI.
Fantastic. And so in your work, because now you've been working with businesses for a while, gosh, since 2020, 2021, that's like ancient times
Yeah.
compared to where most of us are
Yeah.
just jumping into AI today.
Yep.
So you've seen some of the ways that businesses are actually integrating AI. What are some of these really, really good, impactful use cases that you've seen?
Well, I mean, for us, we implemented it into our business. We wanted to kind of transform how we communicated, how we write. We thought in the beginning it would just help with writer efficiency, but it actually kind of used the tools and what we found through experimenting is that it not only helps like the efficiency, but it pretty much helps the qualitative and quantitative level of it. Qualitative meaning I'm able to go deeper into the subject matter. I'm able to use AI to research better, to sound like my brand, to know my clients better, and to sort of get the right message to the right client at the right time. And from a quantitative standpoint, we're either able to create more content or larger volumes of content, whether that's in clusters or just, structured content. So for me, it started out strictly as content writing. But as I began the AI journey, I just became not overwhelmed, but I started to see how it was going to affect graphic design. I started to see how it did generative art. I went all in. I went and got my certification from MIT in generative transformation of generative AI for business. Now I'm doing the same thing at Wharton. And so it's one of these things where first you got to learn it, then you got to experiment with it, and then you got to sort of teach it. And the reason why I say you got to teach it is because when you teach it, you sort of have to know it better than you would if you were just kind of perusing. And it's the teaching that's actually helped me scale my effectiveness as as an individual, but also effectiveness as a company.
I couldn't agree more with that process. That's something I'm applying right now. I haven't gone to MIT, so kudos to you for that. That's amazing. But I have been learning. I've been listening to folks like you, Paul Reitzer, and so many others. I've been reading and applying it to my own processes. And to your point, I'm starting now to teach it through this podcast, to the blog
Yep.
content, and so on. I'm wondering if we can dig in a little bit further and if you could share some very specific examples of how AI has transformed digital marketing, whether it's strategies, tactics for yourself or for some of the businesses you've worked with.
Yeah. I mean, these are some great questions. Obviously, the more tangible ones, obviously I already talked about writing. All right.
Yeah.
But the other one that I think that a lot of people or a lot of companies don't utilize enough is macro intelligence. What I mean by macro intelligence is that ChatGPT and Gemini will have this built in, and pretty much all of them will have this built in so that you can upload a data file into AI. I say AI, I mean, right now I'm using ChatGPT to do it. It's called, we call it ADA, which is, I think it's advanced data analysis. Anyhow, you upload a data file into ChatGPT, and it's like having like a master's level data analyst. It's going to read the data and it's going to basically start to tell a narrative and a story. You can get visualizations and graphs and all of that information so that you can either tell a better story or know more about your business or so on and so forth. But where I'm saying from macro intelligence is I have a 50-person team. 50% of my team are account managers and project managers. When I go and I sit down with them, if I found an anomaly on one of my smaller clients and I wanted to know, hey, is that anomaly just something that is affecting this one client only, or is it affecting all of my clients? Let's pretend like local keywords aren't ranking all of a sudden. I want to know, like, if this is a small healthcare client, is it affecting my larger healthcare clients? Is it affecting my clients who only have a website that's 2 years old? Is it affecting certain clients that are not using citations? I just need to know all this information. And so what we do is we create a super document, and I have rows and columns. The rows are all my clients. The columns are every certain variable about their performance in their campaign. The left-hand side is the static stuff, the stuff that never changes. Maybe it's the retainer, maybe it's the account manager, maybe it's the day they built the date they built their website. Just all of the things that don't change. And then on the right-hand side, I'm able to export my monthly reports, and it goes and it fills into the right-hand side of the spreadsheet. Now, why am I doing this? Well, essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at all of my clients all at one time, because what you're able to do with AI is you're able to talk to data in natural language, which means that when I see an anomaly on one account, I can say, hey, what other accounts were affected by this anomaly? What project managers are most affected? What about the accounts that, like I just mentioned before, maybe which one of my accounts aren't using HubSpot that are affected by this? And so what happens is every question turns into another question, which turns into another question, which turns into another question. Now let's try to do this without AI. Do you know how much it would cost me to have 25 people in my office and just in my, my boardroom here and just say, hey, I saw this anomaly. Raise your hand if you had this too.
Yeah.
So I just have a quick snapshot of the health care of the health report of my company at a moment's notice. And every single month I get to look at that data. This is something that would be impossible without AI, at least in my opinion. We take a lot of imports and exports and things like that without AI. And I just do it just like that.
That's amazing. We had Andy Christina on back in episode 6, who was talking about similar use cases for AI, but he was pointing out that the one thing that humans are not good at is determining what's missing, what's not there,
Yeah.
and yet that's no problem for AI whatsoever. He was talking about content gaps, and
Yeah.
we're analyzing, spreadsheets of URLs and blog posts, other aspects of content like a homepage, something like that. And then in episode 9, Chris Penn actually did a live demonstration, folks. So if you missed that episode, go back and listen, particularly if you're not sure what Chris Carr is talking about when he says upload a data file, that sort of thing. Chris Penn, while we're recording, showed me how I could have researched him, and I could have researched every video interview he's ever done to determine what questions he's never been asked. As a human, obviously, we can't do that. Chris has a lifetime's worth of video content available on the web. So to watch hundreds of videos, particularly when we're doing, multiple podcasts a week, that's just not practical. But he showed us, he walked us through how to get a transcript from every YouTube video, import them into a file, import the entire file into the AI, and ask the question, hey, what question has Chris Penn never been asked that he should be asked in this interview? Just mind-boggling how obviously not only interesting and compelling, but fast, to your point, right? I could pay 25 people to go watch every interview that Chris Penn has ever done or, analyze a spreadsheet or data from any particular thing. But yeah, to have the AI do that and to do it so quickly and correctly and efficiently,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Chris Penn's on that list. We were talking in the green room. You're on it. Andy's on it. Chris Penn's on it. These are the people that just make really hard marketing things look so easy and just effortless. I love the content and I'm just like jealous to the core. Like, how do you that way?
I
You know what
appreciate
mean?
you including me on that list. I'm not on that list for AI yet, but I will say, taking complex marketing concepts and
Yeah.
teaching them in a way that's simple to understand for regular business owners, that
Mhm.
is certainly something that I've done for my entire life. So
Mhm.
I do want to ask you about AI applications and trying to figure out which applications of AI might be most beneficial for a particular marketing campaign. It kind of goes back to the core challenge we were talking about at the outset,
Mhm.
which is that if I haven't done it before,
Mhm.
it's hard for me to necessarily imagine what to do or how to do it with AI. So again, hoping you can just pull out some examples for people to learn from.
Before I kind of mentioned the chess and checkers of AI. What I mean by that is I help companies at the chess level try to figure out where is it going, kind of a Wayne Gretzky type thing about where's the puck going. But the checkers part of this, and this checkers doesn't mean it's any less worthy than chess, is the street level hand-to-hand combat of AI. What I mean by that is these are the tools you're going to use every single day that are going to transform your personal efficiency as a person. You're on a team, so your team's efficiency and ultimately your operational efficiency. So we teach something called AI in a day. And with AI in a day, essentially we take a team in and we spend about 8 hours just going through the tools and stuff like that. But one of the first things I say is that everything, 90% of the things that you'll learn in ChatGPT, when you go and put them in Gemini, they'll work there too. Or Copilot, or, whatever, and Anthropic or Claude. It's not like, oh, if I use a different platform, I got to have a different sauce. I think that you have to learn the foundations of how to communicate to an AI. But the thing about an AI is that so much of the AI you have to know is it's like garbage in, garbage out. And so much of what I teach is the pre-work of how to prime AI, prime the chat GPT or prime some of these tools so that it sounds like you and it knows your clients. So that's step number one. So the first tool you got to know, in my opinion, is I would start with ChatGPT. I feel like they're the farthest ahead. I would say that if I was to rate them, I'll rate them in this is just a quick math. ChatGPT is sort of like that middle lane that if you know that, you're going to be good pretty much left and right. I would say that Claude, specifically Claude Opus, has been best for writing. I like ChatGPT's style, but Opus is very, very good for writing. But everything you learn in ChatGPT is going to apply to Opus. From a wide breadth standpoint, I would say Copilot and Gemini are sort of on the same par. And then I use Perplexity a lot. In fact, I have an Apple computer, and every time I open up a new tab, it opens it up in Perplexity, because I think Perplexity from an AI search engine standpoint is everything that Google wants to be, but just can't, because they can't cut off their foot because they're making way too much money on advertising. So I know that's a long-winded answer for that. So that's tool number one. And then I'm going to rate tool number two is generative art. The gold standard is Adobe Firefly. Adobe Firefly is going to be built into Gemini. They're going to be partners. So that's a big one to know. The second one would be Canva, because some people are really great graphic designers, and so you want to know that. Then the next one is Canva. But as you start to step down, when you start to look at, I went from graphic design tools and design tool now to the actual generative, like image generation, the Gen AI image generation. I think Midjourney right now is the gold standard. I think it has the highest quality. And if you are a paying member, you get to use their website, and you can kind of push Discord to the side, and you get the best image quality. As far as variability, as far as being able to tweak it, I would put DALL-E 3 by ChatGPT there. And then the other fun ones are pretty much all the other ones. Meta's AI has been a lot of fun, but the quality standards are pretty low. Even the new Apple one that's coming out, I didn't see anything in there that says that they can do anything other than illustration, cartoon, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
they had three.
yeah. So, I know that I just said a lot of different names, but let's simplify it. ChatGPT for writing, because you can go left and right to the other tools. For generative art, I would say probably, if you're in the middle road, I would probably try to learn Midjourney or DALL-E 3. If you're an advanced graphic designer, keep stepping up and up and up. Not, I think that DALL-E 3 is still going to give you what you need, and that's built into ChatGPT.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm using a lot of these platforms that you named, and testing others, but ChatGPT is the one that I
Yep.
go to for my actual work,
Mhm.
right? When I'm actually talking about and I'm wanting assistance in anything marketing or work related, that's
Mhm.
who I'm talking to. I've got my personal assistant there, Clue, who I'm
Mhm.
speaking to about everything. And I use DALL-E 3 for the image generation. So that's terrific.
Yep. Let me just give two other tools. Leonardo AI is one thing I just forgot on the image generation. Very, very cool tool. They're growing. Every time one of the big players puts it out, Leonardo puts it out like a week later. So $10 a month, you're barely going to use your credits. I highly recommend Leonardo AI. But then also the voice functionality of ChatGPT is going to be incredible. And not only where it's at now, but when 4.0 and the voice quality things come out there, it's going to be built into your screen. It's going to be built onto your phone. It's going to be incredible. So I'm really, really anxious to see, like, embrace where it's at now. But once it becomes multimodal, put me on the show again, because I'm going to give you a whole nother answer.
Yeah. And I'll be at a completely different place too. I just got access to ChatGPT's voice capability like a couple of days ago. We're recording this on June 10th. So it was
Yep.
around the 7th or 8th of June. So I've had like almost no time to play with it, but I did want to demonstrate it to my children. So my girls and I had a conversation with ChatGPT about horseback riding. That's what my youngest is super passionate about.
Yeah.
And it just blew their minds. They could ask it anything they wanted to and have, a real conversation as we're used to doing from a
Yeah.
chat perspective. But, Siri is about as advanced as they
Sure.
previously experienced when it came to AI. And we all knew,
Yeah.
Siri was previously extremely limited when it came to that conversation. So we're all excited about the voice.
Yep.
But let's bring it back to marketing for a second. So someone listening, they're new to bringing AI into their marketing. What do you
Mhm.
think some of their initial steps should be?
Start with writing first. Go to ChatGPT, learn ChatGPT inside and out. Do not try to be the master of all things. Learn a writing tool, learn an AI art tool, and then experiment like crazy. My next thing is that, so, I flexed that I went to MIT. When I got to MIT, they said, guess what? Everything I'm going to teach you is outdated. So only really use this course as an AMA, like ask me anything, because the teachers were absolutely brilliant. It was money well spent.
Awesome.
but none of the courses that I would take, I would like pass along to other people. Like literally it was kind of like standing at the feet of just people that have thousands and thousands of hours in AI. But I spend so much time on YouTube, like an obnoxious amount of time on YouTube, learning something and then trying something. Something that I do, I stole this concept from Ethan Mollick, is I have interns. So I do this thing. I speak at 4 different colleges: St. Joe's, Villanova, Temple, and then if I'm lucky, sometimes Penn. And then I try to get interns. Then what happens is that when I go and I learn something in AI, when you watch a YouTube video, it never, ever, ever works as easy as they say it does. So then you spend a ton of time watching their video and trying it, but then you got to create like materials to make it actually work. And you spend so much time. It's almost like the way a movie producer has to get everything ready so that the actors can act. I use my interns to do the trials and then they get all those materials ready so that when I go and do it, I just basically go to the intern and I say, hey, show me the technique you use so that it works at least 3 times in a row, so that when I do it, I'm not going to waste my time and say, oh, I got to create a document for that. Oh, I got to do this stuff. Or I got whatever it is. They're like my producers. And then I get to go and execute and save a whole ton of time.
That makes a ton of sense. What an interesting perspective. Thanks for sharing that. Folks, we're talking with Chris Carr about different use cases and implementations of AI in marketing. And I've got a bunch of questions for Chris, so you're going to want to stick around for those. But before I get to those, I want to share with you the tool that I'm using to augment all of my marketing activities. This episode of AI and Marketing Unpacked is brought to you by Magi, your gateway to making generative AI incredibly simple and accessible. Wondering how to seamlessly integrate AI into your marketing strategy without getting bogged down by complexities? That's exactly where Magi shines. It provides user-friendly AI solutions that empower marketers just like you to innovate and elevate your campaigns without needing a degree in data science. Imagine having the power to generate creative content, insightful marketing data analysis, or even personalized customer communications, all at the touch of a button. Magi isn't just about providing tools. It's about transforming your approach to marketing with AI that's tailor-made to be straightforward and effective. So whether you're looking to boost your content creation process or want deeper insights into your marketing performance, Magi makes it all possible with a few clicks. No fuss, no hassle, just results. Ready to simplify your AI journey? Visit Magi today to learn how their solutions can revolutionize the way you engage with your audience. Don't just market smarter with Magi. Tap the link in the show notes. So I'm going to have to re-record that and say, you don't need a degree from MIT to use it. But it can't hurt. And I love the idea that, yeah, they did an AMA. That's fantastic. From your experience though, Chris, when you've been working with so many businesses, what have been some of their key challenges that they've faced or tried to overcome when it comes to integrating AI?
Yeah. Well, the first thing is they tried it once or twice, didn't work exactly how they hoped. And then they sort of said, oh, well, I tried it and it whatever you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
the guy who writes the check tried it and it didn't work the first time. It was just, I still say it's like, hey, it's like teaching like a 5-year-old, like the 5-year-old's incredibly smart, but you can't just talk to it and expect that it's going to know right out of the gate. You got to work with it. How you ask the questions is so much of how you get a great outcome. If you put 10 times more energy in, you'll get 100% more of a return. All right. But it does take a lot of pre-work. And I teach them how to do the pre-work so that they basically, they get a much better machine at the end of the day. I calling it a machine. That's number one. The next thing is that AI is not an end-to-end solution, not without custom programming. And so a lot of what I do is I will sit and I will shadow with them, or I'll kind of say, hey, what are your problems? And then we're going to look at it together to say, hey, you know what, how big of a problem is this? And I use this equation. Let me call it up because I don't always know it from memory here, but I'll give this to you that maybe you can put it as an overlay. Okay, great. So like when I sit down with them, the first thing I do is I say like, hey, tell me like the name of the job. Then I say, how many people does it take to do it? I basically asked them a number of different questions, like how long does it take to do it? How many people? How often? And then how much do you pay them? All right. And so in this scenario here, I'm going to create a TPS report, which is just a joke from, Office Space. And it's going to take 20
Yeah.
hours. It takes about 4 of my team members, about 5 hours. All right. How often do I do it? About one every day. All right. Multiply that by 100 hours. Believe it or not, that's about $60,000 a month, $720,000 a year. Now, what if I go to them and say, hey, you know what? That 5-hour task, that 20-hour task, what if I could get it down to 1 hour? You'd be at $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year. What would a cost of $684,000 mean to your organization? And the people that aren't stuck building these TPS reports, what could they be doing? Because I do try to coach businesses on how to be deliberately human. It's like they define sort of how they grow and scale by staying like as human as possible. So I don't just try to create machines that eliminate people. I try to pivot people. But this is the business case that you sort of have to make. You're doing a repetitive job and you're getting a certain outcome. What would happen if I used a business case to do this? Now, here's the thing that I got to make very clear is out of the box, AI gets you about 70% of the way there. The other 30% is going to take custom programming. And so that's the thing that we do is we try to layer on custom programming on top of normal AI. So out of the box tools that everyone uses, that's one thing. On the other hand, out of the box tools coupled with custom programming, you get an end-to-end solution, and that's real business transformation.
The pre-work is so important. I've seen that myself because I've done exactly what you've said. I started playing with AI a year or so ago,
Mhm.
and it was hard because it wasn't super
Yep.
impressive at the time because I wasn't really giving it very much to work with.
Mhm.
I might have given it a blog post and say, "Hey, summarize this," or "Give me some social posts," and it comes up with just garbage. I mean, just
Sure.
such mundane, general stuff on that first stab because I haven't told it anything about who I am, who my audience is, what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yep.
Today, now I have a system that I built where I'm going to be able to take this interview and give it to my AI assistant and say, all right, here's my new interview. And it's going to ask me questions because I've trained it to. It
Mhm.
knows who I am. It knows who my podcast is. It
Yep.
knows the content calendar that I built with the assistant that I'm going to have every single week to promote each podcast. So
Mhm.
once I give it the link to the podcast, it gives me all the social content that I need for the following week, including pulling quotes out of the episode, including an entire LinkedIn newsletter, published a couple days after I published the podcast. To your point, it wouldn't have done any of that. It couldn't have done any of that. And I put in a few hours of
Yep.
the pre-work of building up, this is called a custom GPT or a persona in Magi, where I've actually trained it. And it took some tweaking and some back and forth, but flawlessly, which means every single week from this moment on,
Yeah.
a brand new podcast, I'm generating all this content in a matter of seconds.
It's like you
Fantastic.
hired an employee, maybe 3 employees.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hired a social media manager, which is fantastic,
No.
and it's appropriate because even though I'm in the social media business, that's not my full-time job. So I recognize my social profiles are not what they
Mhm.
should. But you talked briefly for a second there about the potential cost savings, and I'm wondering, is that the only potential benefit, or how else do we measure the success or the impact that
Mhm.
AI can have on our businesses?
Well, I think information's power, and so you're gonna have stronger conversion rates. The person on the sales floor, if you will, has more access to more information, either about the client or about the website or anything like that. So the more information that the salesperson has, that's one thing. So you're going to close more. You're going to have more opportunity costs because I'm freeing up the people in your company that are sort of making the donuts every day to do things bigger, stronger, and faster. And then you also have the idea that the more information that you get from the AI, the more it's like once it solves one problem, it changes. I don't know if you can use a matrix reference. It's sort of, kung fu. What I mean by that is that once you can do more, you start to think differently. And then you start to think, well, if that solves that problem, what other problems can it solve? What are the redundancies that I do every day that can be turned into, into action? That those things that kind of sit on the sideline because I never get time to do it. Those are the opportunity costs. And you don't know the price of an opportunity cost until you start doing those things. You start crossing them off your list. Now, Keep in mind that we're also on the bottom of the mountain from an AI perspective, that right now we're 9 times out of 10, we're trading a query for knowledge. All right. We're very close to agents, AI agents coming into this market where they're going to be able to do tasks. And when they do tasks, you're going to start to think about and look at your company very differently and start to say, hey, you know what? From an end-to-end standpoint, what are the little micro AIs that can go along the way that can do multiple tasks to free up my core people to focus more on strategy and less on making the donuts?
Fantastic. That's what a great metaphor. I know Kung Fu.
Yes.
Those you guys, you don't know. Chris and I are great friends, and our private messages typically are just nonstop memes, clips, and videos from movies. That's it's just geek speak all day long is how we talk. So if you don't like that kind of stuff, you can feel very blessed that this particular conversation has been relatively light. when
It has
comes to
been very
moving
low.
reference. But you mentioned at the outset, you talked about this new group, this new organization, this new company that you formed. And I want you to
Yep.
share more about what that is. Tell us about dynamic and the work you're
Mhm.
doing and how you help businesses today.
Yeah. So the new organization, we're rolling it out this summer. It's called Dynamics AI. We spelled it, of course, you can't spell it normal. So it's the word dynamics, but we have AI in the middle and we turn the CS into an X. So it's DINAAIMIX. Anyhow, it is a consulting company where I'm going to come in and we're going to look at the chess and checkers of AI for you. But then we're also doing a lot of training. And what I mean by that is that it's one of the things that we find is that there's a mad rush to AI. It's $30 per person per month. And we think that you can buy the solution and people just automatically know how to use it. And we are finding the number one thing that employees want to know is how do they not lose their job? The number one way to not lose your job is to know the AI. Number two,
Mhm.
businesses want to say, how do I use AI to scale my business? Well, if your employees don't know how to do that, you absolutely need to do that. And then I know this sounds really, really crazy, and this doesn't mean to sound condescending, but we used to laugh at the C-level executives that had to print their email in order to basically function. Well, the modern version of that is the C-level executive where everybody in the house knows how to use AI and they're so intimidated by it that they don't move their feet. They don't do anything. And so that's the kind of C-level executives I'm trying to rescue. I'm trying to say, hey, you know what? I do AI in a day where I teach you in a day. And then we have this idea that's coming up as early as this fall called the AI Bootcamp. The AI Bootcamp is we're going to pick destination cities, places you would want to visit that you need an excuse to visit. So you're going to do 2 days of AI intensive training, and then you're going to hang out in San Diego, or you're going to hang out in Fort Lauderdale, or you're going to hang out in, I don't know, Virgin Islands.
Right.
You know? So that's sort of the dream and the mission is I believe that we're going to have a whole lot less AI taking jobs if people know AI.
Could not agree more. It's something I've talked about myself in the newsletter and so on. So thanks for sharing that. I've just a couple more questions for you, Chris. And I want to kind of I want you to try to think about what's happening next. And I laugh as I ask that because I know how challenging it is. In the digital marketing space, we've said for years, things change fast. Well, AI came along and said, hold my beer. Things are going to change so fast. Things continue to change so fast with this space. But
Yep.
what are some of the trends that you think marketers in particular should be looking out for when it comes to AI?
Okay. First, do the foundations, learn what we talked about earlier in the episode, learn ChatGPT, learn the tools that are going to have AI built into the architecture of them. But next is write down the word, AI agents, know that they're coming. I talk about them at length. AI agents are AIs that can do tasks. And imagine you say, I'm going to have a trade show I'm going to be in I need to get ready for a trade show on September 1st. This massive AI that knows everything, we're going to stop thinking that way. And we're going to start to think about agents as a connection of small little AIs. All right. So I know I'm going to go to a conference. The AI knows the end result and it's going to create a booth AI. It's going to create an email blast AI. It's going to create a landing page AI. It's going to create a brochure AI. It's going to have all of these little AIs and all of them are going to do their task. And the moment you know you got to go to that conference, 3 months in advance, you're going to click a button, and in your draft folder, 70% of those tasks will be done. And those AIs, 9 times out of 10, will be subject matter experts in each one of their craft. And so what that means is that you're going to be able to do and scale a whole lot more efficiently because the AI is actually doing tasks. So what do you got to learn? You got to know, you got to look farther ahead to know that AI agents are coming. You want to be an early adopter. Even if you're wrong, you want to be an early adopter to try to figure out what can it do, what can it do. And then what you want to be able to do is say, hey, you know what? If I know AI agents, maybe if they're going to take some of the marketing tasks away from me, maybe my value to clients is helping them build agents that we work together with your agents. We're your marketing company. We pour in the fuel and we train your agents how to execute a little bit better. So we're still going to be right alongside of you. We're still going to be strategists. We're still going to be able to do the heavy lifting, but we're going to be able to scale a lot more effectively because we have agents working on your side.
100%. I could not agree more with that. It's a fantastic approach. And it's interesting because, again, I've been in this digital marketing space for over a decade, and I've always preached to businesses, don't buy into the hype. Don't go after the shiny object. In fact, I was just contributing to someone's book recently. They asked me to write a letter for the book. And that was a big thing that I talked about, was not going after, shiny new object, brand new social networks like Blue Sky and Clubhouse and all these kinds of things, because you just don't know from a business perspective how long they're going to last. AI is different. The entire reason I'm doing this podcast and the newsletters, because I need the businesses and the marketers that are listening to me to know this is not going away. This is not like those things. Folks, you can trust me. I am a historian. I've been the unofficial historian for the internet since I started my blog in 2011. I've written about social networks you've never even heard of, and they're gone. That's why you've never heard of them. But AI is not like that. AI is not like, the metaverse or something else, some other new technology that people are getting excited about, and people are saying, "Rah, we need to go do this." And then the fad goes away. AI is already revolutionizing every aspect of our society, and it's only going to further impact everything we do. So I appreciate you underscoring that point. One last question for you, Chris. What advice would you have for the marketer who's listening to me right now? They're listening to you right now, and they're thinking, I don't buy it. I don't think I should do this. I'm hesitant. Maybe I'm scared for my job, but more likely I'm just concerned about AI. I'm concerned about the privacy. I'm concerned about the implications, and I don't think I should do it. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say look up John Henry. John Henry is like the fable or whatever it is, the folk tale about the guy who tried to push back against the Industrial Revolution, and he beat the machine and he died.
Okay, we're going to end on a positive note, folks.
No, what I'm saying is you can bury your head in the sand with this. You can try to push it back against the machine, but we're talking about companies that have $1 trillion valuations, and they're not like in it to protect the old way of thinking, the old school way of thinking. In fact, like it's kind of like a Jurassic Park reference. They're more worried about whether they could than if they should. So that means that a lot of it's like their world and you're sort of living in it. So you can try to push back against that all you want. If you were to ask me as an AI guy, and I'm using I can't think of his name, the Henry Ford analogy. This is going too fast for me. I would like a faster horse, but I don't get that choice. All right. So I have to learn this so I don't get everything that I just built sort of crushed by it. Now the hope, and here's the hope, is that every time I go and I speak with a client, this is for the last 24 years. I dream big dreams and we're getting high fives and everything like that. But then I get that call, and the call is, Chris, loved all the stuff that you had to say, but we're not even doing our foundational stuff. Like we're not getting blog out regularly. We don't have a social media calendar. We don't have an editorial calendar. We don't look at our analytics and make data-driven decisions. We don't do any of that stuff. So I love the big ideas, but man, I gotta get just even the basics down. I gotta get the foundations down. So if the AI helps you with the foundations, what is your second act, Mr. Agency Owner? What value and strategy and things can you bring above and beyond the foundations? Because transparently, I think we all got a little bit fat on serving our potential clients a lot of what they, in some ways or shape or form, could have done for themselves if they had the time and the expertise. So now what it's going to do is it's going to thin the herd of marketing agencies. And now there's going to be a lot of hand-to-hand combat because the AI is going to be able to do a lot of the foundation things. So now we're going to get into strategists fighting strategists. This is Coke versus Pepsi type stuff. This is Nike versus Under Armour, And so you as an agency, you got to sharpen your strategy. You got to know how to use the tools. You got to make sure that the foundations are there. You know how to scale. So I don't know. I'm rambling here. I get on my soapbox pretty quickly about it.
No, you made two really, really strong points. The first, the reference of the Industrial Revolution is so perfect. And folks, I'm going to link to an article I wrote about this fact because we are, in fact, in the fourth Industrial Revolution. And if you're not sure what that means, I have the history backed up for you. There have been 4 industrial revolutions. The first one is the one that people are most familiar with. It's the first one that was called Industrial Revolution. But there have been 2 since, and this is now the 4th. And to your second point, if you just look at big tech, they are literally all in on artificial intelligence. We're recording this on June 10th. Apple just had their huge announcement today. AI is literally baked into every aspect of every product that they're putting out the door, folks. And we have, Google and Amazon and every other big player just pouring billions of dollars into this technology because they may not know exactly where it's going to go, which is a great callback to your Jurassic Park reference. They know that they don't know that they shouldn't do it, but they see the potential, and they see that the more that they invest, the more power and success that they see, the more power and success that we all see. So it's a really exciting time to be alive from that perspective. But yeah, to your deeper point, it's coming. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
You cannot stop it. You can't stand in the way of it. Not us individuals. So you really just need to embrace it and take advantage of it when you can.
There was a great movie that came out during COVID. It was called Don't Look Up. It's like this asteroid that's going to hit Earth. I think Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. And like 50% of the planet doesn't believe it. Like, I promise you, I do my AI presentation and 30% of the people just kind of shake my hands like, oh, that sounds kind of crazy. I'm like, have no idea, just keep walking. And I'm just like, dude, this is the fuel of life is about to change. It's like we changed. It's compared to fire, like you're going to have to move your feet. You're going to have to figure this out, So
yeah. Fantastic. Yep. Chris, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. We will have so much of what Chris has said in the show notes, but for those who want to follow you, reach out to you, connect to you, where should they go?
Well, right now, I would like you to just go to my agency, which is www.farotech.com. We don't have the Dynamics website built, but if you want to know more about me, I'd love to either speak to your organization and I give something called the State of AI, called AI Today. I say where AI is at, where it's going, and how your business can be prepared. If you're a C-level executive and you want training, I do that AI in a day class. In the contact us form, just ask for training. And then I do a final thing is called an AI dream session. Jump on Zoom and we talk. We talk about what are the redundancies in your business? What are the things that are taking more than 5 hours? What's the cost to do them? How many people are doing them? What's the business argument that I can make if I could take a 5-hour task and make it 1 hour? What would that mean to you? So those are the 3 things we have. Reach out. We'll talk about training. We'll talk about dream sessions, and we'll talk about like sort of how do we make a business case out of this?
Fantastic. Thank you, Chris. Thank you all of you for listening. We will have all of Chris's information and links in the show notes. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe and drop a review on Apple, the AI and Marketing Unpacked podcast. I'd love to know what you think. Until next time, welcome to the grid. Thanks for joining us on AI and Marketing Unpacked. I hope today's episode has inspired you and given you actionable insights to integrate AI into your marketing strategies. If you enjoyed the show, then subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and consider leaving a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts and answer any questions you might have. Don't forget to join us next time as we continue to simplify AI and help you make a real impact in your marketing efforts. Until then, keep innovating and see just how far AI can take your marketing. Thank you for listening and have a fantastic day.